Welcome to this MoneyDoodleLab explainer. All right, let's jump right in, because today we're going to fundamentally shift how you think about wealth building. Have you ever noticed how two people can bring home the exact same salary, yet one of them builds this incredible generational wealth, while the other is constantly struggling to stay afloat? Most of us just assume the secret is hidden in a spreadsheet somewhere. Budgeting, picking the absolute perfect ETFs, or mastering stock market fundamentals. But the real foundation of personal finance? It actually goes way, way deeper. Beneath literally every financial choice you make, there's a hidden link. Today, we're uncovering the powerful connection between your self-worth and your net worth. And as you'll see, changing the way you view yourself might just be the single most profitable financial decision you'll ever make.
So let's look at this massive paradox. Why do two people with the exact same income end up with such vastly different net worths? It's wild, right? A lot of people think the difference is purely mathematical. They tell themselves, oh, if I just learn a bit more about investing, or if I just track every single penny, then I'll be rich. But the real secret? It's entirely psychological. I mean, you can know exactly how compound interest works inside and out, but if your mindset isn't aligned with long-term wealth creation, all that textbook knowledge isn't going to save you. The biggest differentiator often has absolutely nothing to do with the money itself and literally everything to do with how you view the person earning it.
And the answer to that paradox lies in your self-worth. This is simply the value you believe you inherently possess as a person. It's that quiet, sometimes annoying inner voice answering questions like, do I actually deserve success? Or am I even capable of earning more? See, people with a healthy sense of self-worth don't walk around thinking they're better than everyone else. They just believe they have value, full stop. And that fundamental belief dictates every single financial move they make. Whether you're opening a new retirement account or sitting down to ask your boss for a raise, your self-worth is the silent partner in that room. It's deciding if you truly deserve the financial freedom you're chasing.
Now, think of your mind as having an invisible financial thermostat. It works exactly like the thermostat in your house. Your subconscious regulates your bank account to whatever level of wealth you're comfortable having. So if you subconsciously believe you're a $50,000 a year person and you suddenly get a $10,000 bonus, well, it's actually going to feel a little uncomfortable. Your internal thermostat picks on, and you'll unconsciously find some way to spend it or lose it until your net worth drops right back down to a number your brain finds familiar and safe.
This leads directly to subconscious self-sabotage, because if you secretly believe you're only worth a certain amount, you're going to unconsciously execute these sabotaging behaviors just to get back to your familiar baseline. Have you ever accepted a job offer without even trying to negotiate because you felt like an imposter? Or maybe you passed up a really clear investing opportunity because it felt, above your level. Listen, it's not because you're irresponsible. It's just your subconscious mind working overtime, squandering that extra cash or missing those opportunities simply to return you to your comfort zone. Let's look at what happens when a financial setback hits, like an unexpected car repair or a sudden dip in your index funds. Your self-worth completely dictates your reaction here. Imagine person A, who firmly believes they're capable of learning and growing, versus person B, whose core belief is, I'm just bad with money. Person A looks at the setback and sees a temporary challenge to overcome. They tweak their budget, they adapt, and they move on. Person B, however, sees the exact same event as absolute proof of their limiting beliefs. Over time, their financial outcomes drastically diverge as these core beliefs compound, just like interest. Person A gains confidence, while person B spirals into doubt and fear.
So where does this all come from? Well, these deeply rooted problems almost always start with childhood messages we just absorbed as absolute facts. Things like, rich people are greedy, or money doesn't grow on trees, or wanting money is selfish. Sound familiar? We hear these things growing up, and it creates this massive internal conflict in adulthood. Consciously, sure, you want wealth, you want passive income and stability, but unconsciously, you kind of feel guilty about achieving it because the kid inside you still believes that wanting money makes you a bad person. And that hidden conflict, it can quietly sabotage your progress for literally decades without you even realizing it.
Okay, so let's flip the script. To do that, we have to look at the confidence wealth cycle. It all starts with step 1, believing in your inherent value. That single powerful belief gives you the courage to apply for better jobs and take calculated risks. And what happens next? That naturally leads to earning a higher income. Finally, you use that income to create real financial stability, which loops right back around and reinforces your initial confidence. It is a beautiful, positive loop. Conversely, if you're operating with low self-worth, it triggers a negative cycle of fear, avoidance, and chronically missed opportunities.
Now, we definitely need to talk about the false cure. A high income absolutely does not automatically generate high self-worth. There are so many six-figure earners out there who still feel incredibly poor. They chase the luxury cars, the bigger houses, the flashy designer clothes, all because they mistakenly believe that these external possessions are going to fix their internal lack of self-acceptance. But the target just keeps moving, right? That's lifestyle inflation for you. The next raise isn't enough. The next big investment gain isn't enough. Why? Because the real problem was never a lack of money. It was the flawed belief that their personal value had to be earned through possessions.
Here's the truth. Truly wealthy habits are actually just acts of self-respect. Think about it. Saving consistently, avoiding destructive debt, setting firm financial boundaries. When you sit down to budget your money or when you invest in a simple index fund, you are loudly declaring that your future self matters. You're building protective shields for your future. People who respect themselves just don't sabotage their future for momentary comfort. Building an emergency fund or setting aside money for retirement says, hey, I value my future. That mindset, rooted deeply in self-respect, is what actually creates long-term generational wealth.
Section 4. 4 steps to strengthen your financial self-worth. Let's get right into the actionable steps you can take starting today.
Step 1 is challenging your limiting beliefs. Whenever your inner voice chimes in with, I'm just bad at budgeting, I want you to stop right there and grab a metaphorical magnifying glass. Ask yourself, is this an undeniable, proven fact, or is it just an old story I've been repeating on autopilot for the last 10 years? The truth is, a lot of our limiting financial beliefs are just outdated narratives that we've never bothered to question. You aren't inherently bad with money. Actually, scratch that. You probably just haven't learned the right personal finance systems yet. So challenge that inner critic and demand some hard evidence.
Moving on to steps 2 and 3, building self-trust and investing in your skills. You build massive self-trust by keeping tiny promises to yourself. Track your spending for just one single week, or save a small, very specific amount this month. Maybe just read one solid financial book. Every single kept promise strengthens your self-image. Then step 3 is investing in your skills. Look, the highest return investment isn't always in the stock market. A lot of times, it's in yourself. Learning valuable new skills increases both your income and your confidence. Remember how this flows. Knowledge creates competence, competence creates confidence, and that confidence creates incredible financial opportunities.
And step 4 is absolutely crucial, especially in the digital age. You've got to ditch the social media comparison trap. Seriously, if you look online, someone is always going to have a bigger house, a larger portfolio, or a way more glamorous vacation. Comparing your day 1 to someone else's day 100 on social media is literally the fastest way to destroy your financial confidence. The only comparison game you can actually consistently win is measuring your own progress against your past self. Have you learned more this year? Have you saved a bit more? Grown more? That is the only metric that truly matters.
So, what does this all mean? It all comes down to the real wealth formula. We're constantly sold this myth that money creates self-worth. We're told over and over that if we just get rich, we'll finally feel like we're good enough. But reality operates in the exact reverse order. Higher self-worth leads to better decisions, which opens up greater opportunities, which ultimately results in more wealth. Money is the result, it's not the cause. When you value yourself first, you just naturally make the financial choices that support long-term stability, growth, and true financial freedom. And your net worth? It eventually just catches up to reflect that inner reality.
I'm going to leave you with this final thought for your financial journey, and it's a question I really want you to ask yourself right now. Do you believe that your future is worthy of being protected and invested in? Look, financial literacy is incredibly important. Yes, budgeting, understanding ETFs, and investing matter immensely. But your bank account and your self-image are intimately connected. Beneath all those spreadsheets and investment strategies lies the fundamental belief that you actually deserve financial freedom.
When you genuinely believe your future has value, you treat it differently. Because wealth doesn't start in your wallet, it starts right there in your mindset. Thanks so much for tuning in to this Money Doodle Lab explainer. Keep investing in yourself, and we'll see you in the next lesson.